What is a Venn diagram for two sets? A Venn diagram for two sets is a visual representation of the relationship between these two sets. The Venn diagram is composed of two circles or similar shapes. The circles each represent one set. The circles overlap if the two sets share common elements. The two sets can also be subsets of a universal set. In that case, the two circles are enclosed by a rectangle. The rectangle represents the universal set. Let's start with two sets, A and B. A Venn diagram representing the sets A and B will either look like the one on the left or the one on the right. Each of the two circles represents one set, and the elements of the sets are located inside the circles. The only difference between these two Venn diagrams is whether the two circles overlap or not. First, let's concentrate on the diagram to the left. These two circles do not overlap. This is because the two sets, A and B, do not share any common elements. When looking at a Venn diagram that looks like this, you know that sets A and B have no common elements. Recall that such sets without common elements are known as disjoint sets. The intersection of sets A and B is an empty set. In the second Venn diagram, the circles do overlap, because sets A and B share common elements in this case. So, when you see a Venn diagram that looks like this, you know that the intersection of set A and set B contains those shared elements. The elements of the intersection are located in this region, where the two circles overlap. The remaining elements of set A are in the region of the circle A that is not covered by the intersection. Likewise, the remaining elements of set B are in the region of the circle B that are not covered by the intersection. The two sets, A and B, can also be subsets of a universal set. Recall that a universal set contains all the elements that are relevant in a particular context. In a Venn diagram, a universal set, U, is represented by a rectangle. The two circles representing the two subsets are always located inside the rectangle. Let's take a closer look at the Venn diagram to the left. The universal set will, by definition, contain all the elements of the subsets, but it can also contain additional elements. The union of A and B are all the elements that are inside the circles. The elements of the universal set that are not elements of this union are inside the rectangle, but outside the circles. In upcoming videos, all of these concepts will be explained using examples that you can relate to. A Venn diagram for two sets is a visual representation of the relationship between these two sets.